God bless America, and that I love, stand beside her, and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide and full. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Hi everybody and welcome to the California Conservative Show, a place on TV where a conservative can actually speak their mind. Hello and welcome to the California Conservative Show, where, believe it or not, the conservatives have a voice on the air. Today we have a very special episode that's very near and dear to the conservative heart, the sanctity of life beginning at conception. With us today we have Mr. John Ficker and Mr. Don Blythe from the Project Truth.
How you doing, George?
Gentlemen. You guys have been very radical about going around to all the different schools and showing people the effects of what happens when people have abortions, and there are very graphic pictures involved in this demonstration that you guys are doing. Can you tell me a little bit about what goes on when you do this?
Well, our project is called Project Truth, and basically what we do is we bring the truth to college campuses of the humanity of that unborn child, what the child looks like and how it's developed, and then we also show them what abortion does to that child. And we get mixed responses. We have students that have never seen the pictures before and are just totally shocked and said that they never knew, and other responses is just anger. Sometimes we have opposition that will come out and threaten to tear it down, or we're at one school where actually they tried to set it on fire. But for the most part, the students are very responsive, and we have our whole focus is to have a dialogue over this issue so we can bring the truth. There's a lot of deception, and we honestly believe that most women would not choose abortion if they knew all the facts.
Okay, first let's talk about the legality of what it is you guys do. I mean, like, is it already, is it okay that you guys come on campuses and you bring these rather gory pictures and you're sitting there and you're confronting people? I mean, wouldn't people think it was like harassing and confrontational, and maybe police try to make you leave? I mean, what do you guys have to do to be able to go on the campuses?
Well, we found out that the college campus, according to the courts and according to the professors and the administrators at the college, has been deemed a marketplace of ideas, and that it is the best place for people to be able to dialogue about different subjects and issues, and free speech is really lifted up as one of the great fundamental reasons that a college exists, so that they can talk about all the various issues of life. And so a college campus is a public place. A public college is a public place. It's not private. It's not something that has regulations any different than any other public place. So we're allowed to go on the college campus and dialogue and engage the students in the public areas of the campus, which is usually the quads and any public sidewalks and that kind of thing. Once in a while we get some college administrators who don't understand the law and don't understand how the courts have ruled, and we have to talk with them and work through that. We usually let the colleges know ahead of time that we're coming and what our intentions are, and we try to work through some of the dynamics of their uncomfortableness with us coming on the campus. Other campuses love it that we're there. They say, hey, students should be talking about these things, so come on and engage the students, and whatever happens, happens. And so we set up a fall and spring tour. We go onto the college campuses, and we set up throughout the morning and part of the afternoon, and just ask students to come and talk to us about the whole issue of the sanctity of human life.
Okay, so
legally we can do it.
You guys set up these displays. They're about 10-foot posters of aborted babies and comparable information about what they look like when they're at this stage, at this stage, at this stage. A lot of things about facts and backgrounds and stuff. And And I mean, I've seen it myself. The first thing that happens is there's this shock, isn't there? I'm like, well, what do you guys think about the initial reaction of the students?
Well, I think the initial reaction of students is not always shock. It's their ignorance of the subject comes through. Students walk up and say, "Wow, is that really what a baby looks like at 10 weeks in the womb or 8 weeks in the womb? Is that really what a fetus looks like?" And so it's more of they're kind of surprised. They didn't know that it's not a blob of tissue, that it actually is a little miniature human being. So most students are coming up saying, "Wow, I never knew." You get about 10% of the students who are kind of disrespectful towards the whole issue, but generally speaking, the students come up, their initial reaction is, "Wow, I didn't know." And so we have a combination of showing what we look like when we were at the earliest stages of our life in our mother's womb, and then we also show what happens in abortion clinics. And again, what we found kind of troubling is most students have no idea what an abortion looks like. They don't know what a fetus looks like, and they don't know what an abortion looks like. Because a lot of times on college campuses, we find out that their textbooks have these cartoon kind of pictures in their textbooks where they don't actually show and use all the technology that's available to show what's really going on in the womb. So for a lot of students, they say, "Well, how come I didn't learn that in biology?"
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, wouldn't I'm a paramedic, or whatever you guys would call a paramedic out here. I got medical training from the military, and a lot of our medical books are like straight up pictures of things, and I couldn't understand how come, especially people who are pre-med and medical students, nursing students, a lot of people going to school for this. You don't have pictures like these in these books?
A lot of the campuses don't. The colleges don't. Some do, but some don't. Some of the students will actually bring out their biology textbook, and it'll be a little silhouette picture of the outline of what a fetus looks like at the earliest stages. And I go, we have the technology. We have 3D sonograms. We have all of the technology to show you a real picture of what a baby looks like in the womb. And so for us, it's an educational format. We're there to educate the students and sometimes the professors about this whole difficult subject of abortion in America. And that's why we're there. We're there to educate the students and dialogue with the students about this issue, because most students have never talked with real pro-life people. They've talked with people who have their opinions. They've talked with people that don't know what they're talking about. But we go onto the campus knowing what we're talking about, and we wind up having incredible discussions with hundreds of students on every college campus we go to.
So why is it that you think that when we have these medical students that are going to go on to be doctors that may even be performing these abortions or doing something that has to deal with this, whether it's pediatrics or whatever, how come they're not educating the students in the books?
Well, I believe it's a censorship that's going on, especially with, I've yet to see a book that shows an aborted fetus. And here, this is something that goes on over 1 million times every year in this country. And I believe, quite honestly, because it's a money-making industry, and it's also, there's a section of our society that are elitist, and they believe that the best way to get rid of social problems is killing children before they're born. And so they don't want them to see the truth, because quite frankly, when students begin to see the facts of what a little child looks like, that it's actually a little human being, and then they see the disturbing facts that abortion is an act of violence that kills a baby, most of them would not have an abortion. And we're talking to students over and over and over again. Every campus we go to, young girls say, "If I had only known, I never would have had my abortion. If I had only seen this facts, nobody ever showed me this."
Where did abortion come from? What is its original history?
Well, I mean, abortion goes way back. I mean, it goes back into, even before Christ. I mean, it's called child sacrifice. And in this country, there was a time in the 1800s where it became legal, and then it was illegal But abortions have been happening. And people say, well, you change the laws, you won't stop abortion. Well, it may not. People will find a way to kill someone else, but laws definitely change people's actions, what they do. Dr. King says, a law will not make a white man love me, but it'll keep him from lynching me. So the abortion laws change to keep from killing innocent children. And, it's hard to say. I mean, abortion in this country happened because when it became legal was during the sexual revolution, the 60s. Everyone was saying free sex and encouraging sex without any repercussions, they said. And so abortion was a way to deal with unwanted children. And that's why, they pushed for this. People pretend like it just kind of happened, but there were attorneys and judges that were looking for a case to present to change the law so we would have abortion.
Well, I know one side of the argument is people were saying, back before they had a safe way to be able to terminate a pregnancy, women were using coat hangers and sticking them up inside themselves. Right. I mean, isn't it more damaging for women to be very malicious with their own bodies and being able to try and terminate a pregnancy than for them to go into a safe environment with a doctor that just cleanly kills the baby?
Well, women in America have been so misled by the rhetoric of the pro-choice crowd that they've bought into some of these emotional arguments. My dad told me when I first started getting into the pro-life issue, he said in the 50s when I was in school in Lodi, he said, Don, the girls knew where to go to have abortions, and it wasn't a back alley. The girls went to the local doctors who would perform the abortions and call it something else. Abortion has never been safe, and it should be illegal because it is an act of violence that kills a baby. Therefore, if we come up with creative ways to kill a child more humanely, doesn't make sense. It's not humane. It's inhumane both to the woman and to the child. So when we listen to some of the pro-choice rhetoric of the students that challenge us, we always take them back to the most important question. Is this a human being? If that thing growing inside that woman is a human being, then we have two people to deal with, a mother and her child. Are we going to come up with ways to kill that child? Or are both of them to be protected as equally valid human beings? Are they valuable because they're wanted, or are they valuable because they're a human being? And you asked a good question, where did abortion come from? While it's always been around throughout history, whether illegal or legal, what's really interesting is what really sparked the abortion movement in America was the push of evolution. When the false notion of evolution took effect in our country, and we began to identify that we're only valuable if we say we're valuable, there's no higher power, there's no God, there's no judgment day, there's nothing like that. We're just products of evolution, and it's the survival of the fittest. Then you start breeding reasons to come up with to keep yourself alive, and that you're number one, not your neighbor, not your friends. You're number one because you're merely a product of evolution. And so the evolutionary thought was a good breeding ground for introducing abortion and saying, hey, this is about the survival of the fittest. Who are you to tell me what I can or cannot do? Because
it's my body.
That's what they say. And so when students come up to us and say, well, it's my body, I should be able to do with my body what I want. That's probably the most common one. I always say, so you really believe that? You believe that you should be able to do whatever you want to your body, and nobody should tell you what you should be able to do?
If I want a tattoo right here, I'm going to get it.
Well, whatever you want. Mm-hmm. We don't believe that, because that actually, no human being believes that, because that breeds chaos. We don't allow a man or a woman to do certain things to their bodies. There's all kinds of laws.
I can pierce my ears. Why can't I do whatever I want with my body? I'm not understanding.
Because there's certain things that we can't do with our bodies that would harm someone else. Whatever, our laws are there to protect us from our own foolishness, like you're not allowed to drive down a street drunk. Well, it's your body, it's your car. Well, you're not allowed to drive down the street drunk because you might hurt someone else, and you might hurt yourself. In fact, most likely, you're going to hurt yourself and someone else. So our laws are created to protect us from our own foolish decisions and from the decision to hurt someone else. And so once we establish that with the student who says, well, I can do whatever I want with my... Well, actually, you can't. Try walking down the campus naked. You can't. You're not allowed. There are laws that don't allow you to walk down the campus naked. If you wanted to walk over to the side of the campus and snort cocaine or do some kind of drugs into your body, you'll be arrested because you're not allowed to do certain things with your body. There have to be, in a civil society, laws that limit what we can and cannot do because it will either harm us or it will harm someone else. And then we propose by our display, we have a display of 8 panels, and we say, if this is a human being, it should have a right to life. And you should not be able to do something to your body that would harm your child. Isn't it interesting that we have laws that while a woman's pregnant, if she does anything to her body to harm that little human being inside her, she could be arrested.
You mean if I was pregnant and I was beating on my stomach, I could go to jail for that?
Absolutely. You can go to jail.
Or if I throw myself down a flight of stairs or something?
If you take certain drugs into your body, you can and will be arrested for harming that child inside your womb. But the same country that believes it's wrong to harm a child in the womb has created this idea that you can kill it. So we live in a country that's conflicted. We live in a country that's confused.
You know, I'm really not understanding. I mean, I'm a 13-year-old girl. My uncle molested me, and now I'm pregnant, and I've got to deal with, you know, telling my parents. I got to deal with what my friends are going to think about me. I know I'm going to come under review and be discriminated against what happened to me for the rest of my life. I'm going to be marked. Or I have this easy way out where I can go and I can have a simple abortion and just forget about it. And I just don't understand why I wouldn't want to take the easy way out. I'm not understanding. I'm not.
Well, the reality is abortion, in this case, only protects the pedophile. It doesn't protect the woman. See, if she has an abortion, it will not unrape her. It will not take away her pain. In fact, studies show that it'll add to her pain. And, you know, again, it boils down to the crux of the whole issue. What is the unborn? If it's a human life, is it ever right to intentionally kill an innocent human being? So basically, abortion in that case is going to cover up the crime. People say they're so concerned about this 13-year-old girl. If we're concerned about her, we want to help her in her situation. We want to treat her and her child both as patients. And studies shown that young women that have been raped or, you know, pregnancy has been forced on them, they actually will recover when they see something good coming out of that. The child isn't evil because of what the father did. And we as a society, you know, need to come alongside that woman. We have organizations that do that. They will house her. They'll help find housing, find doctors. But the reality is it's never, you know, 2 wrongs don't make a right. To kill an innocent child is not going to protect this 13-year-old girl.
Well, you know, I don't know if I'm buying into your story, but I'll tell you what. You guys brought these posters with you. You guys have your whole demonstration. And I'm going to sit here and listen to what you guys have to say and go through your spiel with you with an objective mind, and then I'll make my decision.
Good.
That's good.
All right, great. Well, let's see this in action. Go ahead.
Debate can be boiled down to one question. If you can answer this question, this answers the abortion debate. And that question is, what is the unborn? So when we set up our humanity display at a college campus, this is the first question we ask college students is, am I human? This right here is a picture of an unborn child at 10 weeks from conception. This is the stage when most abortions happen. Almost 90% of all abortions are in this first trimester. And what we're finding is most students have been told it's just a blob of tissue. As you can see, this child at this stage, its heart has been beating at 21 days, for 7 weeks already. Its brain waves have been functioning for over a month. And so the reality is every abortion stops a beating heart and it kills an unborn child with functioning brain waves, because surgical abortions don't start until 6 weeks. But then the question is, okay, when does it become a human life? And here's 3 quotes from scientists that make it perfectly clear. Dr. Jerome Lejeune, founder of modern genetics, says, "At no time is the human being a blob of protoplasm. You were and are a human." Dr. McCarthy Demir, from the doctor in law, professor at University of Tennessee, "The exact moment of the beginning of a personhood and of the human body is at the moment of conception." And then the last one is from Dr. Jaime Gordon, Department of Genetics at the Mayo Clinic. "By all the criteria of modern molecular biology, life is present at the moment of conception." Even Alan Guttmacher agreed in his book, Life in the Making, that it's no doubt life begins at conception. So then the whole question is it wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being? That's all. Our whole moral argument is right there. We believe it's wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being, and there is no even debate in science or medicine right now whether or not these little unborn children are human beings. So this is what we ask our students as they come by: is this a human being? And I would say almost 90% of them or more would say, after we've talked to them and they've looked at these facts, they agree this is a human life. So then the question comes, okay, this is what abortion does to that very same human being at that same stage. Again, this is when 90% of all abortions are taking place in the first trimester. And this is the graphic reality, that abortion is an act of violence that kills an innocent human being. So if this is true, that this is a human being, how would you answer that question? Is this inhumane? And I remember talking to a young man after I went through this with him, and he looked at these pictures and he got kind of quiet, a little emotional, and then says, "You know what, everything you said is right, and I wish I would have talked to you about 3 weeks ago. My friend had an abortion with my baby." He says, "I never would have had it if I'd known these facts." This is what we're finding out from college students. This is what the abortionists, even themselves, these are quotes from different abortions, that they agree that what they're doing is killing an innocent human being. Abortion author MacArthur Hill, he says, "I have taken the lives of innocent babies and I have ripped them from their mother's womb with a powerful suction machine." Abortionist Paul Jarrett says, "I was finally able to remove the head and look squarely into the face of a human being, a human I had just killed." This is a practicing abortionist. Right now, he's still doing abortion. He says, "I am evicting the human from the incubator." See, all these statements, and there's the last one is from abortionist Benjamin Kalish. "You can see a miniature person. As a physician, I am destroying life." So the reality is, abortion is an act of violence that kills an innocent human being. So these are the questions we pose to these students, and we're finding over and over and over again, students are changing their mind, and lives are being saved. We were at a local college, Delta College, and a young woman was observing us throughout the day, and finally she comes up and points to this picture right here and says, "Is that really what a little baby looks like at 10 weeks from conception?" And I said, "That's exactly what a little one looks like." And then she looks at the other picture and says, "That's what abortion does to him?" And she began to tear up and she says, "I had an abortion at that stage." And she says, "My friend right now is 10 weeks pregnant, and she would have had an abortion last week, but they canceled or they postponed her appointment till next week." She says, "I've got to get her out here." So we talked with her, we prayed with her. She brought her friend out about an hour and a half later, and her friend, when she looked at these pictures, she was shocked, and right on the spot, she decided that she's going to give life to her child, that she was not going to go through it. She canceled her abortion, and some people came alongside her, took her to an alternative pregnancy center, and she's getting help, and her child's alive today. That's why we take these pictures to the college campuses, because the students, most of the students, the other first question we ask them, "Have you ever seen anything like this before?" And most of them have said, "No, I've never even seen what an unborn looks like, much less what abortion does to them." So that's why we take this to the college campuses. We call it our humanity display. And we were talking to thousands of students. And you know, typically at any college campus, we handed out anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 pieces of literature, and that we give to the students to take. And what we're hearing from the college, that is the talk of the campus. There's debate going on in the classrooms. That's all they talk about, abortion. And we're finding that this is opening up the debate that's not happening typically on a college campus unless someone comes and brings the truth to them. And we honestly believe from experience that most men and women would not choose abortion if they knew the facts of what the unborn is, and that is a human being, and that what abortion does to that child. And so that's why we go to these college campuses, and we're seeing so much success as we travel throughout the state. We've gone to approximately 35, 40 colleges in the last couple years, and we plan on hitting every college, going to every college campuses. We believe every student should be fully informed, and our hope and desire is to see an end to abortion. Our desire is to make abortion unthinkable. And we look at history from men like Dr. King that stood against injustice, and we use many of the same tools he used to highlight the injustice of abortion.
One of the most incredible advances in technology is what's called the ultrasound technology. This has opened up the window to the womb like people have never imagined. Back in the 60s, they were able to take some pictures of life in the womb, but here in the 21st century, people are fascinated by this ultrasound technology. This is 4D ultrasound. You can actually go to unborn.com and you can actually see little tiny babies in the womb moving around. This has revolutionized the argument against abortion, because for so long those on the pro-choice side have been claiming that it's not a human being, it's just a blob of tissue. But just common sense shows you from that window to the womb that these are little tiny human beings. So when we're on the college campus, we're just perplexed as to why college students have not seen 4D sonograms of babies in the womb. And so as we show these pictures to the college students, many of the college students said, I've never seen anything like that before. And so we come to realize that the reason they haven't seen it is because many of the colleges are trying to keep this out of the textbooks. They want you to look at that thing in the womb as non-essential, as non-human. Yet what's interesting is when students come up and see these pictures, even the pro-choice students, they come up and look at these pictures, the first thing they say is, I didn't know. I was told it was a blob of tissue. We have many, 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 in the tens of thousands of college students we talk to, we have many guys and girls who have been through the experience of abortion who come up and look right at this picture and say, is that really what a baby looks like in the first trimester? And I said, yes, it is. And they said, why didn't the abortion clinic tell me that? Why didn't we learn this in Biology 101 at our college? Why don't they show us these things? Well, get a clue. There's a reason why they don't show you these things. It's because they don't want you to know. Because the truth sets you free. If they keep you from knowing the whole truth, they can manipulate what you do and what you say. And so many of the students come up, many of them heartbroken over the fact that if they had known this, they wouldn't have had an abortion. And so we show this, and we encourage them to go to unborn.com and look at the actual footage of babies moving around in the womb. And so this is just an incredible set of pictures, because we'll have students come up to us sometimes and show us their textbooks, and they say, look, this is what they show us as 12 weeks, and it's just a little silhouette of something black. It doesn't even show it. And I can't help but think that's intentional. We show them the truth. We don't show them a partial truth or a twisted truth. We show the reality. Then we show them as a final set of pictures, we show them what abortion actually is. And abortion actually kills a little human being. Sometimes students will come up to us and say, well, that baby's 4 or 5 months along. And we say, well, hold on. That's a first trimester baby. That's 8 weeks. Most abortions are performed between 8 and 12 weeks. And they go, no, they don't have fingers and toes. And I said, yes, they do. Go to your biology teacher. We've been to almost 50 colleges in which students will come up to us and say, those are not accurate pictures. And we challenge those students. We say, go to your biology teacher and ask him if these photos are real. And if they're not, you either bring your biology teacher or you come back and say, the biology teacher told us that your pictures are not real. In 50 colleges that we've done, we've never had one professor come out and tell us these are inaccurate pictures. In fact, students will come back and tell us, our teacher told us, yes, those are accurate pictures. And then the question is, why didn't we know this from taking a college class? We show them the first trimester. When they see the fingers and toes, it just blows them away. And then we show them the second and third trimester abortions. Students will come up to us and say, but they don't do abortions in the second and third trimester. It's illegal. Again, ignorance of the truth. Abortion is legal through the entire 9 months. There are some states who have restricted abortion, but in California and in other states, there's 14 states where abortion is legal all the way up to birth. You don't have to have a reason, you just have to have the money. So we show those things to them, showing them the truth, and we're just continually fascinated by all the students who come up to us who didn't know these things and didn't understand that an abortion is an act of violence that kills a baby. Sometimes students will come up to us and they'll say, well, those are fetuses. They try to dehumanize these little babies. Did you know that the word fetus means little one? The word fetus is a medical term. It's a Latin word which means little one. So the scientists and biologists said, we never intended for those words that describe a stage of development of the baby, we never meant for those words to dehumanize the baby. When we say the word fetus, we're merely describing a certain point in that child's life. Yet the pro-choice crowd wants to use that word to dehumanize the baby and make it something less than what it is, an individual human being. They say, well, it's part of the woman's body. We say, no, it's not. Did you know that medicine and science say that it is actually considered a separate individual human being at the moment of conception? In fact, this baby free falls when it's first conceived. It free falls and the baby hooks on to the mother and says, feed me. So we show these truths to people to get them to change their thinking on abortion, because an abortion is an act of violence that kills an innocent human being, and it never should have been legalized. And this great, terrible injustice is going on throughout our nation because people aren't getting all the facts. And that's why we go onto the college campuses. That's why we go to high schools and talk to students about this issue so that we can give them the information they need.
There are many men and women on the college campus that have experienced an abortion decision, and they're hurting from that decision. And we are guided by God's word that says we're called to seek justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. So we're not only just speaking out against the injustice of abortion, but we also want to show mercy to those that have made that decision, that want to confess it. And we're finding men and women, sometimes 10, 12 at a campus, are confessing past abortion experiences. And so what we do is we pray with them if they will do that, and we also plug them into a local alternatives pregnancy center where they have post-abortion healing. There's a post-abortion stress syndrome that these young women and even men too go through when they deal with this issue. And we can't just neglect them. They're like the walking wounded. Some people say, well, you can't show these pictures because you're going to hurt people that have had abortions. But no, we have to help these people and help them to get healing that have had these abortions experiences. So that's another part of what we do on these college campuses. And they're thanking us for being there, and also that we don't show judgment. Because, like I said, a lot of them wouldn't have made this decision if they had known all the facts. And that's what motivates us to stop this cycle of killing. Another thing that we're often told is, well, you know, this is just your belief about this is a child at, at conception. I don't believe it's a human being. Well, the bottom line is it's not a belief, it's the facts. It's a scientific fact. The embryologist at Arizona State University says every embryologist in the world agrees that life begins at that moment of fertilization. He says this isn't belief, this is scientific fact. So that's what we're dealing with here. And if we look at our country, our nation was founded on the principle that we hold these truths, not beliefs. They were bold enough to say we hold these truths, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. The right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So that's what we started this country with, this realization that life has intrinsic value just because it's human, and for that reason alone. And so as a nation right now, we're killing babies just because they get in the way. And that's what we want to stop. Our goal is to make abortion unthinkable, like slavery is unthinkable in this nation now. And that's our hope and prayer. And we're encouraging young people, and we're seeing more and more young people speaking out against this injustice. And one day, we hope to see this scourge end in America and in other nations. And we're going to do it by bringing the truth. And the truth is what will set people free.
Very good.
Oftentimes we have people say to us, well, nobody's listening to your message. The students don't care what you have to say. We were on a college campus here in the Sacramento area this last year, and while we were setting up our displays, a woman student came up to me and said, "Aren't you the folks that were here 2 years ago with these displays?" And I said, "Yes, we were." And she said, "I just want you to know I appreciate you being on our campus today, because 2 years ago I walked by from a distance and I saw your displays, and I looked at those displays and I realized that it was not right to abort the baby that I had. I went home and I told my boyfriend and I told my mother, I am not going to have this abortion that I had scheduled. I changed my mind because I saw what an abortion actually is." And she says, "Because of that, I have a 16-month-old little girl at home, and I love her with all my heart. And I'm so glad I didn't abort that little girl." And I looked at her and I said, "Thank you for sharing that with me," because I was on the campus that day. I wasn't in the mood so much to be there. And boy, she just turned that mood all the way around. And she said, "Don't stop doing what you're doing because it's making a difference." The other day, a young lady looked at one of these pictures and she said to me, "I also changed my mind and I went home. My boyfriend told me this wouldn't be right after seeing the pictures. I had this little girl. She's now 8 years old." And she goes, "I'm so glad I didn't abort." She goes, "Why do people have abortions? Why do people do this?" And I said, "It's because they're lost. They're lost in a society that says, do whatever you want. Don't think about it. You have a right to do this. You have a right to do that. You don't have a right to kill an innocent human being." And that's what our nation was founded on. You don't have a right to abuse children, and yet this is the ultimate child abuse. We have women all the time, and sometimes guys, come up to us at the college campus and look at these pictures and say, "I had an abortion a couple weeks ago. If I had seen these pictures 2.5 weeks ago, I wouldn't have aborted. What do I do?" We offer them literature, we offer them hope, we offer them some help to get through the struggles of having made the biggest mistake of their lives. They say, "Well, you're not changing people's minds." We know we are. We're changing people's minds all the time. We're hoping we're going to change some of your minds today because you've seen something you've never seen before, just like it happened to me when I was 20 years old. I saw something I'd never seen before and I said, surely we're not doing this in the land of the free. Freedom isn't the freedom to do wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. This is right, this is wrong. So here we are on college campuses sharing with people the truth, and we have guys and girls coming up to us all the time saying to us, "I wish I had known this information before I had my abortion." We put that SoulNet address up on the television screen. Please call that. We're out here because we care about you. We're on the college campus because we care about people. We believe people are being deceived. and we want you to contact us so that we can get the right information in your hands so that you can make the right decision, so you can do the right thing. Whether you or a friend are facing this kind of a situation, aborting that child is never the answer. There are thousands and thousands of college students that we have come in contact with who have come to their senses and done what's right.
You know, that's a lot to take in. That was really fabulous. I'm really grateful you guys shared that with me. You know, I didn't really realize that all that kind of damage and all that kind of carnage was going on, you know. I always just thought it was, you know, something where people could fix their problems by being able to just go and see a doctor and throw it behind them. So now I got all these women out here, you know, they're thinking, okay, well, really, how do I get out of this situation? What do I do? I just found out I'm pregnant. I'm debating in the air. I have this boyfriend who doesn't know that I'm pregnant. I don't know if I should tell him. I don't know if I should just go get an abortion. I have all these young ladies out there. I don't know if I should tell my parents. I'm scared. I've never been in this situation before. What do I do?
What you do is you want to get help. You want to go to someone that cares about you and your child. See, when a young lady is pregnant, she's a mother at that point. You know, so many times young ladies will tell us, I'm too young to be a mother. Well, if you're pregnant right now, you are a mother. So you have a responsibility to protect your child. Sometimes that little young lady's mother and father is encouraging them to have an abortion. And many of them are coerced into abortion. The young man doesn't want to take responsibility. There are organizations out there that want to come alongside you and help you through this time. But don't let anyone talk you into taking the life of your child. That's never the answer. There are organizations, I think it's 3 times as many crisis pregnancy centers as there are abortion clinics. And these places offer their services free. They don't make money at this. They want to help you. And don't ever choose taking the life of your child to fix a problem. It won't.
But okay, so I'm pregnant. I don't have any money. I don't have my own place. What do I do?
You get hold of the local alternative pregnancy center and ask for help. You can call SoulNet. On our website, it has all those places you can go to. The materials we hand out that we told you about at the colleges, on there gives a 1-800 number that will plug you into a local organization that will help you through this. And if you belong to a church, you know, find people in your church that will support your decision, and they will come alongside you too.
What if I don't have any friends? What if I don't have any family that I think will be understanding? What do I do if I don't go to church?
Then you, like I said, contact us and we will put you in contact with a local organization that will come alongside you, and look for people that will support your decision for life. It's important that you choose life, and your life will improve. But if you choose, you know, to take the life of your child, you will see things spiral. Most young ladies that have abortions, they end up abusing drugs, sex. A lot of different things happen to their own psyche after making such a decision. And but yeah, there's people out there who will help you.
Okay, well, can you give our viewers a way to be able to get a hold of you or these organizations? You know, an email address, something.
Well, soulnet@comcast.net is our email address, or you can go to our website, soulnet.org, www.soulnet.org.
How do you spell that?
It's SOHLNET.org.
Okay.
And from our website, they will link you to a 1-800 number where you can get help.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for being on our show, and thank you guys for
Thanks for having us.
changing the way that I thought about it, because, you know, I really just always thought it was a blob of tissue, and I didn't really realize how deep it was. Everybody, I'm George Riley, your host, and today we had Mr. Ficker and we had Dawn Blythe, and today has been a very powerful message to the conservative heart, and I thank you guys for joining us.